What's good, YouTube? Welcome to the Life of Mari Peace Over Everything podcast. Yes, as you guys can see by the title below, I have a very special guest. Today's guest is a brother from another mother. But not only that, he's a writer, a songwriter, both singer and actor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Ty Miller.
Thank you, thank you.
How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I feel, I feel good. I can't even describe to you how I feel right now. There's so many words that can't even come to mind about how I feel. It doesn't feel real, that I'm actually here to talk about the album.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, since you mentioned album, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So, debut album is dropping. What can we expect? What's the storyline? What's the sound like? Let's talk about
Yeah.
it.
So there's gonna be 10 tracks on the album. Um, something that I'm doing is gonna be different. I'm gonna have poetry on the album. So there's gonna be times where the album it's a continuous cycle, but it's gonna have a moment to breathe and some
Okay.
spoken words gonna be spoken.
Okay.
But the album is called Symphonic Love.
Love.
It's about
The journey of love, the dramatic highs and the lows of love. Um, I kind of, wrote it from my, dramatic high and a low of a relationship. But I wrote it to be kind of where everybody kind of can relate on, how the stages of, like the first love at first sight, and then, the commitment and then working through it. And then, sometimes things go toxic or, sometimes, but then the realization. So it's all a journey.
Yeah.
It's all a journey. But yeah, it's rooted in R&B, but it does branch out and have influences of Afro beats, pop and hip hop. So when you get down, to the last tracks, it's not going to sound like how we first started out. So yeah.
Very nice. Just that explanation itself has me already just interested in it. Just me being a person to love.
mm,
This album is gonna be for me, and I can't
mm,
wait. And I just want to say congratulations. I'm so glad you're here, and congratulations on
thank you.
everything. So, who are you outside of music? Like, what do you want people who don't know you to know about you? Like, who are you outside of music?
A child of God.
Amen.
Um,
I had to realize that the gifts that I have, because as you mentioned earlier, I'm an actor, singer, songwriter, and music producer, but those are gifts from God.
Amen.
So who am I outside of that child of God? Because without Him, I'm nothing.
Right.
Without the gifts that He's given me, I'm nothing. So that's who I am. That's who I want people to see me as. Um, I just want to be seen as an artist.
Right.
I don't want to be labeled or not labeled but limited.
Put it in a box.
Yeah, put it in the box.
know?
Yeah, I don't want to be put in the box. I just want to be seen as an artist. I love to
Yes.
create. I
Creativity
love
at its finest.
I love to create.
And
Yeah.
multi-talented is what you are. So I can
Thank
definitely
you.
see and understand, how it's easy for people to put you in a box, So
Most definitely.
awesome. So tell us a little bit about your introduction to music. Like when did you realize this was something you wanted to take seriously? Like did you grow up like, singing or, like
what's so funny?
I can tell you the first time that I actually sung anywhere was in church. I grew up in church, um, and there was this one time we were at a church convention. My home church is Baptist, so we were at a convention where all the churches come out and we get together and we sing together and we have like Sunday school, Bible study, stuff like that. I was probably 6 years old, so my voice is still kind of high, so I sung soprano for a minute when I was younger, but I was with the tenors one time and they weren't singing, loud. I'm like, why are they not singing loud? So I'm like, I don't care what they're doing, I'm gonna sing,
okay.
loud. So as we're singing, I start seeing like the director look for me, like she's looking for me, and I'm starting to get scared because I'm like, Like, why is she, like, is she looking for me? Like, you know, and she pulled me, she grabbed me. I thought I was getting in trouble. She grabbed me, she pulled me all the way up front. And she was like, he is singing louder than all of you guys. And we were singing, Oh Lord, How Excellent. We were singing that song, and the next thing I know, I was singing the solo for that. And I don't think that song even has a soloist for that, but because I was so short, everybody couldn't see me. They put me on a chair, and I had a microphone, and I was just singing like this. But it started off at another church, not even in my church first. And I started off in another church, and then I started singing in my church. Started singing in my church, started leading songs in my church, started playing for my church. So that's kind of where it started for me, you know, for music. I also had piano lessons when I was younger as well. It started at an early age for me. To answer fully your question, I knew that I always had a love for music, but I didn't really think about creating music until probably my senior year, or kind of junior year. My junior year of high school. My junior year of high school, I was like, okay, I want to create something. You know, also I was in band too.
Okay.
So being in the band and hearing, you know, all those different instruments, made me want to create something. I think what kind of pushed me to it is I had wrote a score for our band, for our performance. Didn't get to, you know, use it, but when I created that, it was something about creating that where I was like, okay, like this was fun.
But yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. So nearly 3 years ago, you dropped your first EP. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came about? You had features on there, went crazy, awesome body of work. Let's talk about it.
Wow. Hearing it out loud, you know, 3 years does something to you, you know. August 7th, yeah, 2023, when that came out. Um, I always wonder, you know, when I did my first release, my first single, I didn't think that I would be able to put out anything else, you know.
Mm,
So you know, one day I'm on YouTube looking for beats, you know, can't find nothing. And then a friend from back home, actually my producer who's worked on, you know, the first single, the EP, and now this album, um, he be having all kind of beats, you know. So
okay.
he sent me one, and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, like
Hmm.
this sounds good.
I'm like, okay. And then one day I'm at work, you know, I already got the beat and stuff like that. Not really, I haven't contributed anything yet to
Hmm.
it. Um, and I'm at work, and, you know, somebody's like, why you didn't tell me you make music? I'm like, what? And like, music. And I'm like, you make music? I'm like, yeah, I make music, yeah. Um, and he was like, I make music too. Yeah, I'm thinking he'd being funny, you know. Sometimes I'm a rapper, and then I'm thinking, okay, you know, another rapper, oh, you know. And nothing's wrong with rapping, by the way. I love rap. But he showed me his music, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is good. Like, this is good. I'm like, okay, I see the potential. I see the potential, and I let another person hear that song, and they were like, Ty, don't do that. Like, it sounds bad. Like, don't do a song with him. And I was like, okay. And then but I went back and I was listening to the things that he was saying, and I was like, wow. So long story short, I wound up, you know, sending him the beat. He sends me, you know, back the verse, you know, and he got this kind of hook, you know. He's talking about dipping on an atmospheric mission, traveling space. So he's kind of like building this, like this universe, right? And so I'm like, oh, I love this. So I'm like, I'm gonna flow off of that. And so then I'm like, okay. Then I'm start talking about, you know, my thoughts, you know, my inner thoughts, and then spaced out thoughts. So I, you know, came up with the name. That's where I got inner thoughts from, because at that time for me there was so much that I felt like that the world needed to hear. There was so much that the world was going through. The world is still going through, and we still needed to hear. So I feel like the world needed to hear my inner thoughts. The world needed to hear Ty, you know. I felt like that I had something to say, and I said my piece. But that's the evolution of that, how that came about. Just one song. It started with one song, and then it branched out to 4 other songs.
Nice. Well, I must say the Spaced Out Thoughts was my all-time favorite off the EP.
That's everybody's favorite. Yeah, that's a classic.
Yes, and just the uniqueness of the EP name. I love how unique it is, and even with the album, it just sounds like it fits. You know what I'm saying? So, amazing body of work, amazing body of work, and I'm still bumping it. You know, and I'm ready
Thank
for
you.
more. I'm
Thank
really
you.
ready for more. Is there anything or anyone that specifically inspired you during this process of making the album?
That is a good question. I'm just gonna start throwing out some people that I love. Um,
I'll say this: I'm inspired by everybody.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
people inspire me every day. Just watching what they do and their approach to that, and their genuineness and their uniqueness to that, whatever their creative process is. Um, I love it. And I love also watching interviews too of people and how they come about certain things. But Jill Scott, Beyonce, Anthony Hamilton, um, so many more that I can't even just off the top of my head. Tyler the Creator, Kendrick Lamar. All these people are very versatile, but when they are creators, they put something into it, and they put their all into it. Who inspired probably the most is probably Beyonce. Just her clarity and her specificity to her work. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a double layer. Even if everything is not meant for you to
Right.
get it at one time. And that's how I made this album. You're gonna have to come back. You have to. Everybody come back and listen. But you have to come back, and because I spit everything at you at once, you're not gonna get everything. But there's so many layers to this album. That's why I felt like I had to release the poetry first. The poetry is almost like even though it interweaves throughout the album, it's almost like an introductory to the album. It's almost like the stepping stools to the album. Yeah.
That's awesome. So now that you mentioned the poetry, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the writing process of that. Like, what made you want to even kind of like collab this and divert it into your album? Like, how did this come about? Because that to me, poems, they're very like they can be deep. You know what I'm saying? You can feel different ways about poems. So it's just like, can you?
Most definitely. Shout out God. um, like I said, earlier, understanding that my gifts, came from Him. Um, I Psalms 23. I referenced this in one of my songs.
He prepares a table in front of my enemies. My cup runs over. So I feel like God just keeps pouring into me. Absolutely. And it just keeps flowing out. There was this one day I just had something to say. I wasn't focused on a cadence. I wasn't focused on a melody. I just wanted to be just clear. I just wanted to be sharp. I just had something to say. And next thing you know, I just my favorite thing my writing process is I'm always in the notes app on my phone. Whenever I feel something, I'm like, let me go to the notes. Let me pour whatever I'm feeling. Let me go pour that into the notes. So I'm just pouring. I'm typing, and I hit like a flow state almost. Then I stop, and I'm like, I just wrote a poem. And what's funny, everybody's done this in high school. English 101, writing of poems, Shakespeare inspired, stuff like that. And I always thought that was so hard. To some people, writing songs and poems are very contrasting, very different. It is. So when I did that, I was like, wow. And even at that point, I didn't think, okay, let me add this to the album. I was going through a relationship at that time, and I would say that there was different stages of how I was feeling throughout that time. So then there was different themes and different stages of the poem that I wrote. It's really all one it's really all about one thing, but it talks about different things from different angles, different POVs. So the first one I wrote was Callistory. And then it was Pretty Brown Eyes. Then it was Transparency. But what's so funny is Transparency came after Pretty Brown Eyes, but the order is Transparency, then Pretty Brown Eyes. But once I had completed those three, I was like, this is a part of the album. You know what I'm saying? It felt like a part of the album. And I've already been, writing the songs and stuff like that and making that. And so it just felt like I was really just saying everything I was saying in the songs in a nutshell.
Got you.
Just in a different way,
Right.
a different tone,
Right.
different,
Nice. So just comparing yourself as far as the EP and the album, which project do you feel has been more personable for you? Or could it be both?
I think this album, Symphonic Love, I think this is probably the most personable. Because like Inner Thoughts, I will say, well, starting with the single was personable, but not the most personable. I'm talking about Trying to Miss Me, right? Everybody still says that to this day. They see me, try and miss me, try and miss
It was
me.
a hit. I mean,
Yeah. People, wow, people still rock with that song to this day. But then when I did, do Inner Thoughts, it kind of became more of a more general thing. Not general, but more to the public. Like I'm trying to address the world. But this one is like, this is all of me.
not all of me, probably a good 80%. But this is probably the most that I've shared with the world. Just more vulnerability in the writing. I can't wait for you guys to hear. I hope you guys can, be able to relate to, the words and the music.
Absolutely. This is your debut, and I'm so excited. Like, I'm super
excited. Yes, I'm excited.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, what is one song on the album that you're most excited for people to hear? Can we get a name?
This is a good question. They're all good songs. My producer, was like, which one's your favorite? I'm like, I can't choose. But I think they're not ready for the last song. I don't think I'm ready for people to hear it. This one it's called Timeless. 7-6 Timeless. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just I can't even because not trying to give too much away. But
this is probably, when you listen to that, you're gonna be like, how did we end up here? The tone is different. The genre is different. What's going on? I would say that's probably the first. This is the first song that I've done that's like completely. I wouldn't say completely out my territory, but something that I haven't done before. So I can't wait for people to hear what I kind of do, my interpretation of that kind of style of music.
Well, I look forward to hearing it.
I can't wait for everybody to hear you.
So let's talk a little bit more about the creative process. So creating music, how does that typically come about? Is it like writing in your notes like the same way you do the poems, or is it like you hear a beat or a melody in your head? Like, how does that come about?
It just depends. It depends on how I'm feeling. I'm such a feeler. And everybody's writing process is so different.
Right.
For me, I can't, look at the tree and be like,
the tree, the rock, a river. I have to feel. I have to, just kind of be in a moment where I'm feeling something and I need to almost like escape, and that's why I escape to my notes. So it's similar to like my poetry. It's both on the notes app. Sometimes I might hear like a little ding or somebody might say something in like a catchy tune. I'm like, okay, let me record that real quick, and I can make that and branch that off as something. If you guys could hear what the little thing that I took for Timeless, since you asked me about that track earlier, and I made it this big thing. I'm just inspired by any and every little thing. But the process, it's always different, almost in a way, because it always catches me at a surprise. I'm never expected to, this melody's gonna sound like this. It's just when I'm in the zone of creating, just letting everything flow, the ideas just come. And it's such a beautiful thing. And
I almost love the creative process more than the final thing. It's like, yeah, I want everybody to see it, but just the beauty of it, like finding what works, what doesn't work, just finding everything out in that process, and then the completion is such a beautiful thing.
I'm sure when you're in those moments and you're going through those processes, you kind of learn something new along the way. I'm
Most
sure.
definitely. I've learned a lot since my first release.
One thing that I always tell myself is trust your artistic process. You need to trust it. Know that you have to give yourself time to let the ideas come. I rushed so much for my first single, and in my second release, my EP, not trusting myself. And a lot of people still ask me, when the album coming, and which only motivated me. Still trusting in my process and knowing that it's going to take however long it needs to take. But that's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned is to trust me, know that it's within me, know that it's not gonna fail me.
Right. So you're an independent artist. So what do you think the biggest misconception people have about independent artists?
The biggest misconception is honestly probably the word independent. There is so many things that we have to do that probably people don't realize that we do. Like, for example, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing right now. And I'm probably a little bit more specific than others, but
you have to be, once you put some work out there, you have to, put your all into it. But right now, running your own ads and, stuff like that, your own content, scheduling content, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of that good stuff. And also your artwork. Who's going to do the cover art? Are you going to do it? Somebody else going to do it? You got to pay them to do it. Versus like if you're signed to a label or anything like that, there's already people in places and positions to assist you and cater to you. You're your own manager. When somebody wants to do a single with you or a project or whatever, you got to talk to them directly. You are your own everything. But I will say it's ultimately up to you. It's up to me. So, and I do kind of like that. I do like the creative freedom, not feeling that I have to be tied down or there's boundaries. I can do what I want to do. And put it out there.
Whenever.
Exactly.
How do you want people to overall feel after listening to the debut album?
That's a good question. I just want them to feel something. If you feel something, that's enough.
Okay.
The musicality spoke for itself. The words spoke for itself. I just want the music to speak for itself, and you feel something. Whatever you feel from it, that's you.
Right.
Because it's your journey through the album, your life, how you live your life through the words. So how that story aligns for you. It aligns for you. But just as long as you feel something.
Okay.
My work is,
it's
done.
So there's obviously been a little bit of space and time between your EP following up to you finna release your debut album. Are you planning to let this sit for a minute? Or are you giving us something kind of sooner than you expect?
I will say I will be letting everybody sit with this. It's been 3 years, guys. August 7th, 2023 since my last release. Wow. But it won't be 3 years in between. I think now I'm in a position in the place in my life where I've even learned so much through, with this album where I can, be ready to go now, and and I have it more accessible to me, so.
Okay. Let's say you drop the album today, a major record label called tomorrow. What would it take for you to sign?
That's a good question. Um,
If they let me, create what I want, when and how, if they're not, demanding too much of me, um, then I would, But I also too, what they say too, because a lot of people see you as an asset, and specifically for business people, as a dollar sign. Um, I want to make sure that they know my worth, Um, that's what it's about for me. Money is not everything.
That part.
So it's not about, oh, how $1,000,000 you get to be $1,000,000,000. I want to make sure that the creative process, and you know who I am.
Right. Okay. What is one message you would say to any of your day one supporters?
Thank y'all so much. For real, thank y'all.
so many days I can even count on my fingers where I'm like, this album's not happening. I was so used to, setbacks and stuff like that. But people, my day ones from Try Miss Me, when the album coming? Where's the album? When is it coming? Like, you guys keep asking me, and it's not like a here, like, oh my gosh, here it is. I kept asking, but no, it was motivation. Um, but shout out to all my day ones, for real. So real. They're so real, and I appreciate them so much. I appreciate y'all.
Who is one artist you would work with, dead or alive, and why?
Beyonce.
Okay.
um,
As you know, I mentioned her earlier. Just her work ethic is out of this world. Now that's just the first person who came to mind. There's just so many other. There's so many others too, that just first come to mind. But her work ethic is out of this world. Her ideas, for vocal melodies and harmonies and stacking and stuff like that. It's just yeah.
Have you ever turned down an opportunity because it didn't align with who you are as far as being in the music industry?
yes, I have. Somebody. He was a rapper. Um, talented guy, talented guy. And this is just and it's been a couple of times, but this particular instance, um, he told me, he wanted some, kind of R&B vocals on the track, and what he was talking about wasn't aligning with who I am, and
shooting people and all these crazy things, that I just don't condone and I don't support. So I had to respectfully decline the invitation, to collab.
Sure.
All collabs, and a lot of independent artists, they say get as many collaborations. No, make sure your collaborations are intentional to who you are and what you're trying to, what is your reputation, what is your image. You need to know that, so like, okay, this is who I am, and this is what I want to put out there. This is how I'm presenting myself. Not even just how I'm presenting myself, but I kind of look at it deeper. This is who I am.
Yeah,
this is who I am. Not even how I'm trying to present. I'm not trying to put on a facade for anybody. This is who I am.
You are. And I respect that because us on the outside looking in, this is what we're feeding our soul. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm the type of person when I'm hearing music, I'm really listening. You know what I'm saying? And words are powerful. So I respect that. I really do. What is one thing you feel like you sacrificed to make this album happen?
Mm.
One thing.
Mm. One thing.
One
I
thing.
sacrifice a lot, y'all. um,
Time.
It's a decent answer. A lot of time.
I sacrifice time. A lot of, and I'm gonna elaborate on that. A lot of us, we take a we don't take advantage of time of how we should. We um, time can bring us so much. Time can bring us joy. Time can bring us pain. Time can bring us healing. Time can bring us growth. Time
Yes.
can bring us understanding.
Yes.
Time can bring us so much, but I lost so much of time with the album.
Y'all better listen to this album. Y'all better cop this album. Okay? Time you can't get back.
Hey, blood, sweat, tears. I never really understood fully what people meant. Obviously, but sweat and tears with this album. Yeah.
So back to the debut album,
Yes.
Symphonic Love. Are there any features on this album?
I am not answering that question.
Okay, okay.
I'm not answering that question. But maybe.
All right.
Or maybe not.
All right.
Good question, though. Good question.
Of course. So my podcast is Peace Over Everything podcast.
Yes.
How is your mental health now, and how has it been throughout this whole process of making this album?
That's what I love about creating in general. It's therapeutic. Specifically for writing, regardless if you're putting it out there for people to listen and to interpret and to live through, your writing. Just writing is releasing, it's releasing something, it's doing something. And I think, and as an actor, I think anybody who creates can understand that, you do it because it's doing something for you.
Sometimes you might be healing doing the work that you do. But I will say, creating this album, my mental was everywhere. Symphonic, love the dramatic highs and lows. So you're gonna hear that. So there's my mental throughout the album. But in the end, that's all I'm gonna say is in the end, you can hear realization. But when completion, right? So when the album got completed, in a sense, I was almost whole again. Not saying I was broken before. I guess you can say I was broken in some ways, but navigating and writing and going through that process, which I needed to do. It I just so happened to do it through my creative process, and probably some outside the creative process as well. But it was a necessity for me to do that through the creative process, so it can bleed through the work.
Okay. So I have a game for us to play.
Okay.
This or that game. So I'm gonna say this or that. You just pick one.
Okay.
Recording or performing.
Why are we already starting hard?
Recording or performing. Okay, they're like this, but I have to, and I haven't done this as much as I would love to, but I have to say performing. When you're performing, you're just there to do you. You're not. Recording though is it's less laid back. Everything's there, but that process is so fun too. But probably performing, yeah.
Okay.
Just being there amongst the people and the energy they're giving you back once you're, that
Right.
the stage presence is a thing.
Right.
It's most definitely a thing.
Right. Morning person or night person?
And I have to say, okay. Well, okay. Honestly, y'all, it depends, but if I have to choose, night.
Old school or new school?
Old school.
Spotify or Apple Music?
Apple Music.
Kendrick or J. Cole?
I thought I was ready to. And then you. Kendrick Lamar.
Michael Jackson or Prince?
Wow. Okay, yeah. This is a hard game. When you say we had to play a game
This
until
or that.
yeah, this is the hard game. Yeah, it sounds easy. Yeah, don't be fooled. This is hard. Michael Jackson.
Drake or Lil Wayne?
Okay, in what content? Like
Drake or Lil Wayne?
yeah, like now, like better rapper, like
Better artist.
okay,
Artistry.
okay. Wow. Wow. Lil Wayne.
Beyonce or Brandy?
Beyonce.
Okay.
I love Brandy. Love you, Brandy. I love you so much.
Viral hit or timeless album?
Timeless album.
Million streams or a loyal fan base?
Loyal fan base.
That wraps up this game.
Wow.
Album out. Debut album, Symphonic Love, out August
Yes.
13th.
August 13th, everybody.
Congratulations on all your success.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud
Thank
of you.
you.
I look forward
Thank
to hearing
you.
this amazing body of work. The first EP was everything. I'm
Thank
sure this
you.
is going to be so much more of
Thank
everything.
you.
Where can the people find your album?
Everybody, it's out everywhere. It's going to be out on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, everywhere. My Instagram is I am Ty Miller. That's the handle across all socials. Everybody follow me so you can stay tuned with the release updates.
Thank you for coming on to my podcast.
Thank you.
Very nice having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Absolutely.